friends, today we are doing something super fun. We are going to use a random color generator to pick our reads for today's video. I'm going to pick the 3 books now and then we'll read them together. I basically just googled a random color generator. Here it is. The first color it's showing me is graphite gray. I'm not going to do that one. We're going to generate the colors one by one. I do have a handful of books that are on my TBR that I would enjoy the opportunity to get to put on this TBR, but if not, we've got plenty of other books, okay? But yeah, I had both my sister and my friend Emily picked my TBRs recently, which you would have probably seen both of those videos before this one, and I figured out video concepts for all of my sister's all of the books my sister picked, but then Emily picked a bunch of books. I've been kind of in a rut creatively, so I figured we would do this and see if maybe fate has it that we'll be able to get some of them on this little TBR. So it is showing me, I just popped this up, Pearl Copper. We're not gonna do that one, it's just like the one that's, when I clicked on the website, that's the one that came up. But let us generate our first color. We're gonna get dusty gray, very boring, but I do have one that I do think matches quite well, and that is Under Locke by Mariana Zapata. It obviously has some white on it, but it definitely has a lot of like these gray colors. I love Mariana Zapata. I've read 3 books by her and I've given them all 5 stars. I've heard mixed reviews about this one. I've seen some people like it. And then I've seen, specifically from Ellen Catherine, that the main guy, Locke, is super mean to the female main character, and I fear I'm a grudge holder, so if that's the case, I may end up not liking this, but I am interested to get into it because it's based in Austin, which I live in Austin, and it's about a tattoo artist, which is like one of the most hot jobs ever. So, I think we're one of our books, I don't know what order we're going to read these in, but Under Locke is being added to this TBR, which is perfect because it is one of the books that Emily picked. Let us generate our next color. This one's also gray, so I'm picking something else, okay? Orange brown. Okay, I have this book on my TBR, and I am going to make the executive decision that this works for orange brown. That's literally the cover of the mountains that are like on fire. But we have got The Compound by Aisling Rawle. This I'm definitely going to listen to on audio. I think I will like it better that way. I've heard people describe this as Love Island meets Lord of the Flies. So I'm interested to see how that works out. But let's get our last color. If it's another gray or another brown, we're going to redo it because I want some variety up in here. Okay, we've got Antique Pink. Antique Pink. Antique Pink. I do think that that's... Is this more orange? I think that's more orange. I think that doesn't really count, if I'm being honest with you. I do have this book, though, that I really want to get to, so I think it's going to work perfect. Yeah! To Catch a Suitor is for sure Antique Pink. Exactly. And this is the last Sarah Adams book I have to read, and then I can finally film a ranking all of her books. I need to film one of those for Abby Jimenez, but we're going to read To Catch a Suitor. This is book 2 in this, like, I think it's called the Dalton series. The Kind of Gentleman was the first book, and I did give it 4 stars. A shocking 4 stars because I thought I would not like it. So I'm very excited that the journey we're taking, you know what I'm saying? So these are the books we're gonna read. Okay guys, we are starting with To Catch a Suitor. I've already started this. I'm I think like 20% in. Basically we have our main girl Elizabeth, and she is supposed to be kind of like courting this season, but she doesn't really want to. She's not into the idea of any of it. And her sister from the first book, who is pregnant and is kind of like having a high-risk pregnancy because she lost her previous baby, is supposed to be her chaperone, but she's kind of like bedridden, so on and so forth. And then we have her childhood, or not like childhood, but like, yeah, her best friend Oliver, and they're kind of like in love with each other. He's being kind of roped into helping chaperone her, but secretly they like each other, you know what I mean? And she's very like rebellious and wants like nothing to do with any of this. So it's kind of where we're at in the first 20%, and I'm excited to keep going. I feel like I was blurry the whole time. Sorry about it. Okay guys, we have finished To Catch a Suitor, and this ended up being so cute. A very cute, like, will they, won't they. I've read a couple of books like this where they're like childhood friends to lovers, and it hits every time because it's like there's just this built-in tension in this sort of story where like you just want them to kiss because they're flashing back to their child. Like, you know how deeply they both want each other, and nobody wants to say anything because they don't want to ruin the friendship, and so on and so forth. And it ended up being really cute, and I ended up giving this 4 stars. I was not sure about this duet by Sarah Adams because I don't really like historical romance or Regency romance, but this little duet, I think my favorite series by her is the Cheat Sheet in the Rulebook, and then the When in Rome series, and then this series, and then The Enemy in the Match, and then the Nashville one is my least favorite. But very cute. I'm very happy and very surprised with this. So we've got our pink color done. I think I'll probably read The Compound next, but today is the 11th, and I get my credits back on Everand on the 16th, and so I think I'm going to wait till the 16th to get the audio for that, because I think I will like it better on audio, because I think from what I've heard the story is kind of slow, and I know that that will bore me. Plus I have like a bunch of books that I need to read physically. And Under Lock and Key, I think I want to read that physically, or Under Lock, not and Key. Under Lock I want to read physically as well because I really love Mariana Zapata and I want to really be able to absorb it. But our first book is a 4-star, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. Okay guys, we are continuing on with the random color generator picks my TBR, and we are going to start The Compound and probably finish it today. I can't imagine the audio is very long. This book is under 300 pages. I just grabbed the audio on Everand with one of my unlocks for this month. Then the other book for this video does not have audio, so I need to read it physically, which is fine, but I've truly been only listening to audiobooks because the time I'm filming this is around the time the newest Pokemon ZA, I don't know what we're calling it, the Pokemon game came out. And so I work and then I lay in bed and play Pokemon until I am ready to go to sleep. So I have not been really reading physically, but I'm hoping, and I've had to focus on my book club book because it is October 20th at the time of me filming this, and I'm like 5% in. So we're gonna have to wait on Under Lock until I finish my book club book, but this is what we are going to be starting. I will maybe check in halfway, but again, it is very short, so I may not. We will see where we go, but I think from what I remember people saying online, this book has quite long chapters, so due to that, or maybe not, 17... yeah, I think it only has like 18 chapters in the whole book, so thank God for audio, because otherwise that would make me want to die a little bit. Okay guys, it's starting to get dark so late. I literally thought it was like 8 p.m., but it's 6:30. Anywho, I'm about 60% of the way through this, and I'm kind of obsessed. So we have our main character Lily, as well as a whole big group of people, and all 10 of the girls, there's supposed to be 20 people, 10 boys, 10 girls, all 10 of the girls arrive at the compound, which is kind of like the villa in Love Island. only it's like completely empty. They don't have furniture, they have like a set supply of food, they don't have many changes of clothes, they don't have makeup, they don't like have any luxuries. And so they're just starting out kind of waiting for the guys to get there. And the guys have to trek through the desert to arrive. So upon arrival, only 9 of the 10 survived and made it there. So they have some rules. Like, one of the rules is that they're not allowed to speak about their life unless they are instructed to win an award, a reward, and they are not allowed to hurt each other. That is until they get to 5 people left, and then they're allowed to talk about their thing, and then they're allowed to hurt each other as long as they don't kill them, which is kind of crazy. So whenever the boys arrive, they start getting group tasks to get things that are good for the compound. Like, they do a task to get a refrigerator, they do a task to get a couch, they do a task to get lawn chairs, to basically make their time there better. And then they eventually start to run out of food, and so they start getting like really disgusting tasks, like everybody has to spit in each other's mouths to get food. And so they are really struggling, or they have to kick somebody out. But whenever the boys get there and there's more girls than there is boys, that means initially on day 1 somebody is leaving. And so when night falls, it kind of is almost like the perfect match. I don't know if you guys have seen that show on Netflix, but basically anybody can go to bed with anybody, and whoever is left partnerless at that night, if you go to bed alone and by morning break nobody is in bed with you, you leave. And so throughout the show they are voting each other out, and then they're doing all of these group tasks to get stuff for the group, and then they're also being given individual tasks, and they're not allowed to speak about what the individual task is. Like, for example, our main character Lily, she has to borrow somebody's clothes without asking. That's like a mild one. And so she's just like prancing around in this other girl's clothes, and this girl gives her like a look, like, what are you doing? And then it like clicks in her head, oh, it's probably for a task, and she just kind of lets her go. One girl had to literally shit on the sidewalk for a personal task, and this is to get stuff like a hairbrush, as well as getting like sponsors, kind of like in the Hunger Games, where like a big brand will send you something and you have to do like a public thank you and like a little like, kind of confessional video thanking them for their participation. I just recently got to part 2. I didn't realize the book was in parts. Like, don't recall there being a part 1, but I'm like here. I just got to part 2. And yeah, so it's basically about their time. I don't think I'm really gonna say much more about the premise of the book because it is quite short and I don't want to spoil too much. But I'm fascinated. The thing is like when they're kicked out, you don't get any like information on, because they're basically just like let out into the desert, and you're not really given any information of what they do or how they get back. And I'm personally fine with that, but so far I'm loving it, truly. Like, it could be a 5, which I'm really excited about, because I feel like people are either loving or hating this book, and so I'm glad I'm loving it. I'm having so much fun. I don't know what happened, but evidently I never updated about the compound, and it just proceeded to be amazing, and I gave it 5 stars. Okay guys, we're about 25% of the way, as I was saying, we're about 25% of the way through this book, and I figured I'll talk to you about it while I make my husband's lunch. But this is not 5 stars. This is gonna be my first not 5-star Mariana, and I'm not even positive that it's gonna be a 4, and that's devastating news. So just grab the goodies so we can make the lunch. I put these in a Ziploc because I was afraid they were gonna spill, and I'm still kind of afraid, so I'm gonna ask him to keep that in there. This is like refillable mustard and mayo, but I'm very not trusting of that not spilling, and if it spills. So in this book we've got our main male character, his name is Dex, what he goes by, and our main female character, her name's Iris. And basically Iris is kind of going through it, her life is falling apart, and she gets like fired from her job her lease is up on her apartment and they're not gonna like renew it. And so she joins from Fort Lauderdale. She's living in Fort Lauderdale and she leaves to join her half-brother who lives in Austin, who got her a job working at one of the guys who's in his motorcycle club. I don't know what a fucking motorcycle club is. None of this makes sense to me. It all feels like they're in some sort of gang, if I'm being honest with you. And his friend's kind of like notoriously an asshole. And so he gets his sister a job there, and like day one he calls her an idiot and a bitch, and she's holding this big grudge over it, which I don't blame her. I don't like books where the guy is, I don't like enemies to lovers or dislike to love or hate to love, because if somebody's mean to the girl or makes her feel bad about herself, I instantly hate him forever and there's no coming back from it. So we know that she's had kind of like a hard life. Her dad's like a big wig in this motorcycle club thing. I forget the name of it. And she hates him. They don't have a relationship. All of her siblings hate him. She has one like full sibling and a bunch of half siblings. Her full sibling brother's in the army. And so I'm cutting up an onion in case you were wondering. So she gets this job and she hates it. The big thing about her is, oh, she doesn't swear, so she's saying friggin' this, friggin' that. And I'm just like, say fuck, you're an adult. So that's really bugging me, like really extremely. So she's working in this tattoo shop. She doesn't have any tattoos or piercings. It's a big topic of discussion, and we're like meeting the other people who work at the shop, Slim and Blue and whatever, and learning all their personalities. And she's like trying to find a different job because she hates Dex, but they're also at the same time now starting to form this unlikely friendship because she gets stuck going with them on a trip to a convention because one of the guys who was supposed to go has to cancel because his kid has meningitis and is in the hospital. So she goes and they literally bond over him farting when he thought she was asleep. Like, this sounds like pretend, but this is real life. But he's like so mean to her, and he just constantly calls her babe, and I'm just like, he's like, babe, come on, babe, stop being mad at me, babe, just look at me, babe, why don't you look me in the eye, babe? And she's like, cause you're mean. He's like, I just say stuff when I'm mad. I got a bad temper. And I'm sure, because Mariana Zapata is the queen of making you like people by the end, I'm sure he has some tortured story. We've learned that he was in a bad mood because his mom called and said that his dad had called. So I'm sure there's some tortured boy, sad boy story to go along with how mean that he is. But there is one thing about me as somebody who had a less than ideal childhood. I loathe when people use that as an excuse for being a shitty person. It just does not work on me. And so I need some really big like personality shift in Dex, and honestly in Iris. Like, I'm not really a big fan of her either. And so it's kind of slow moving so far, which Mariana Zapata books do tend to be a slow roll because they are a slow burn. So that part makes sense. I'm just like so deeply not into any of the characters right now that it is making it a bit difficult. Because we're 25% of the way in. I don't remember exactly which chapter. I'm reading it on my Kindle. How many pages are there? It's just 550 pages. So we're like well over 100 pages into it. And I'm just like so not obsessed with any character, which is frustrating. I think my favorite character is possibly Sunny, who is Iris's brother that she's currently living with. But I don't know. I like a strong, sassy female lead, and Iris is very like meek and timid and like doesn't say what's on her mind. And that's just like not the type of FMC that I personally like relate to or enjoy, because I'm kind of like a confrontational, outspoken type of girl in these types of situations. Like, first off, if this man just repeatedly kept calling me babe, or he calls her Ritz, R-I-T-Z, like the cracker, I don't know what that's about. It's not been explained, but I would flip out on this man. If I'm being so honest with you, I don't care how hot that he is, but I don't know. So far, it's giving 3 stars, which I didn't love from Locke with Love when I first started it, but I did end up loving it by the end and giving it 5 stars. So there's still hope. I will be shocked if it's more than a 4. I will be shocked, honestly, if it's a 4. I think it's gonna be a 3 as of right now, which will be my lowest rated Mariana Zapata. I've read Wall of Winnipeg and Me, From Locke with Love, and then my favorite is All Roads Lead Here. I really want to get culty, but I want it to like not have such an ugly cover. So we'll see. I have like the indie edition of like there is no traditionally published cover of this one, but I like how this one looks. I do not like how culty looks at all, but I think it's a soccer romance possibly. I do love me a sports romance, so I don't know. But the whole bad boy shtick, not really for me to begin with. So like in my relationship, it's like black cat golden retriever, where like I'm the black cat. So having this like really miserable man is not working for me. And Iris is simultaneously not, it's almost like it's grumpy almost, because like Iris is for sure not like a cheerful character by any stretch of the imagination. So it's truly tragic because it's currently not a win. It's not hitting, it's not going good. I'm not really liking it. I'm not feeling like compelled to pick it up. I'm gonna try to get to 50%. I don't even know what time it is. The clock in my kitchen's wrong. My guess would be it's probably close to 11. So I don't think that I'm probably actually going to get to 50%, but I would like to. My camera's flashing. I'm gonna go continue this, but it's not looking great. I bet you weren't expecting to see me in my kitchen again, but we're gonna ignore my face because I was just being so funny, truly. To my husband, I was really being a jokester, and I was quite literally cry laughing. So my face looks like a mess. I'm wearing a muumuu. You know, it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm eating dinner because I'm gonna be honest, today I woke up at 11 o'clock. I had lunch probably around 2 and I haven't been hungry until right now. But we still have a long night ahead of us because I have about 4 hours left in my audiobook, and it's exactly 10 o'clock. And not my audiobook, in my book. We're not doing this on audio, honestly, because there is no audiobook for this in English. The only audiobook for it that I could find was in Spanish. And though I took a lot of years of Spanish, like 6 years of Spanish, I don't speak Spanish because I'm dumb. So we are just going to talk about the book because I did get to 50% last night. I know last time I talked to you guys, I said I was gonna try, but I wasn't feeling very confident. Pat myself on the back. I killed it. I did it. It is starting to get more good. I do really dislike the like motorcycle gang aspect of it, and it's become kind of like a thriller at this point. Like, it's become like a really big part of the story. But basically, what's her name? Iris? He calls her Ritz, so it's just like what I was about to call her. But so basically, Iris went with them to this tattoo convention, and things are starting, she's finally kind of like no longer completely feuding with Locke. They kind of not like made amends, but they came to like an understanding. Basically, they shared a moment of her sleeping on the pull-out bed and him farting. I wish I could tell you I was kidding, and that's what they bonded over and became friends over. That really like is literally what changed her perspective on him, was him farting. So that happened, and so they go to this tattoo convention. I'm sorry, but these are some of the biggest pickle chips I've ever seen in my life. So they do that, everything's cool, great, wonderful. They get back, and there has been like these guys that are like on motorcycles, but they're like wearing different logo basically than like the company that her like brother and dad is in. And we find out that like her dad kind of came around because her and her brother Sonny that she's staying with are only half siblings. They share a dad. They just call him the sperm donor. He came around kind of asking for money. Apparently he owes this other crew all of this money and nobody wants to give it to him because he sucks. And so they beat the shit out of her brother, and now her brother's like on this mission to try to like find their dad so that he can pay their debts. And because of this mob, or not mob, but like these bad guys knowing that Iris lives with him, they're basically like, okay, well, you're in danger now, so now you have to basically go live with Locke until this gets sorted out, because you need to have protection at all times. And Iris just keeps doing stupid bitch shit, just like dumb bitch shit, and I'm like, Iris, we are smarter than this. Like, all of her decisions are so stupid, literally all the time, that it's like honestly frustrating me that she's like this much of an idiot. But whatever, I mean, I'm not really surprised with like how her character's gone, but she got her belly button pierced because that's like been a whole thing, how she doesn't have any tattoos and piercings. There was a lot of chapters about genitalia piercings, and it's like, because Mariana Zapata's books are so long, you do like really start to like get to know and care about the characters, but like, and so like I'm liking it more than I was liking it, but also simultaneously I just like, I'm not messing with this whole like thing. Like, I've never, this is going off of a review off of Goodreads. Miss Larry Reads, one of my favorite booktubers, Live, Laugh, Love her. She's really funny. But she, in her review, said that this book reminded her of Sons of Anarchy. So do with that information what you will. I know nothing about Sons of Anarchy, but I think it involves like motorcycle gangs. Correct me if I'm wrong, or don't, because I honestly am never gonna watch it. But yeah, it's just like that aspect is just really what is not working for me. Is the like if it was just like this grumpy tattooer guy, like, yeah, I would be all about it, okay? Live, laugh, love. But it's just like this motorcycle gang nonsense that I'm just like very much not into. And I think it's hard to look past it because it has become such a big part of the book. We also found out that this was kind of like alluded to many of times throughout the book, so I don't think it's a spoiler. I'm also not convinced that I didn't miss it being explicitly said earlier, but our main character, Iris, talks a lot about these scars she has on her arms from like all of her medical treatments. And we know her mom died of breast cancer, but we do find out that Iris herself is also a cancer survivor. And I do think there's going to be something later on regarding getting her scars covered with a tattoo, because that's kind of like come up, which I do think that is one of the beauties of tattoos. As somebody who has a lot, I don't know, when I think of myself, I'm like, I'm not heavily tattooed because I don't have like a full bodysuit. That's what I think of when I think of heavily tattooed, but this is my only blank limb, so maybe you consider that heavily tattooed. Who am I to say? But that is where we are at. It is feeling like a Right now it's like a 3.5. But it'll most likely be a 4, but it is without a shadow of a doubt my least favorite Mariana Zapata. I think my favorite is first All Roads Lead Here, then From Lukov with Love, then The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and then this one. But the other 3 were all 5 stars, so there's that. Listen, it's been a chaotic couple of weeks, but I ended up giving, what was that even called? Under Locke, 3 stars. It was so beyond disappointing. With me basically being obsessed with every other Mariana Zapata book that I've read, to read that one where like the premise was so good and just have it be so bad, I just could not forgive Locke and his behavior. And the only reason it's not a 2 is because I really liked Iris's personal story and like the found family aspect, but Locke can suck a toe. And that is everything, you guys. The color wheel did us pretty good. The Compound is like one of my favorite books I've read this year, so I feel like that in itself being in this video makes it kind of a win. And then I caught up on another series, and that was the last book in the Sarah Adams world that I had not read. So now I've read all of her books, which is pretty cool. And yeah, Under Locke was just a disappointing end to the video. But that's going to be all, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!